Hello everyone, welcome to another review. This time I'm coming to you from my little working bench, which has a white paper towel on it, so you can see all the details, all the contrast, all the design choices that have been put into the kit we are reviewing today. And that kit is the Orange ModWorks O-Tac Hammershot S1 kit, basically the upgraded version of their old Hammershot kit. That is part of their O-Tac line. Let's start off with the box for this little thing before we open it up and go over it. So the box is very nicely done, like Orange ModWorks is known to do with some of their boxes. Has the O-Tac logo on the top here. You can see the cylinder right there, and it has this nice slightly textured honeycomb pattern on it, and that's basically the box. Very simple and also very easy to open. So let's see what all we get inside of this thing. Inside the box, you get two O-Tac gear stickers. You get this plastic piece which helps rotate the cylinder up at the front. You just put it in on the inside. You know where it goes if you've modified a Hammershot. You get this Orange ModWorks Solid Spring 3. I'm not sure what the kg rating on it is, but it definitely is an upgraded spring. You get this new foam for the seal. It has this little cutout bit right here that you just pull out, and that's a little upgraded seal for your Hammershot. You get an Orange ModWorks metal trigger. It looks kind of like the Blaster Parts one, but not entirely like it. It has this big flared area right there with the Orange ModWorks O on it. You get a new cylinder which has 6 shots in black and silver, which has the rotational piece already put in on the back. It's very lightweight, it feels very solid, and I do like the look of it a lot. And you get a metal hammer that has this nice ribbing on the back, as well as this little indent right here for your thumb, and it has the Orange ModWorks O on it. This hammer looks pretty darn awesome, and it reminds me of what I tried to do with my Blaster Parts hammer by putting those little ribbons in. But one complaint about the hammer already is that it is going to need some polishing to look nice, because it does look a bit dirty, a bit grimy. So that's one complaint with that. Not too big of a deal, but I'm gonna polish this thing up so it looks nice in the end. But yeah, there you go. That is what you get in your kit. So pretty simple if you've modified a Hammershot, but I'm gonna get a Hammershot and I'll go over the steps for installing it. Now that I have the Hammershot taken apart and have the modified parts next to the stock parts, I'm going to go over the similarities and differences between the two. But before I do that, a really quick tip, when it comes to taking apart blasters, some people like to put the screws all over the floors. I like to make a nice little diagram so I know exactly where the screws go. Craft foam is very cheap, and I do this for every single build, and I just think it's a really easy way to do it. You never have to guess which screws go where, and yeah, it's very simple to do, but a little quick tip. So starting off, we first have the stock spring, which is this one right here, versus the modified spring. And you can tell that the coils are a bit thicker on the modified one, and it just feels way beefier. So I'm gonna put the stock spring aside. And now let's move on to the cylinders. Now the stock cylinder already has this little piece installed onto it with a big rivet kind of thing. But here's a little comparison between the two. So they're basically the same thing, just you can take this one out more easily. That's really the biggest difference, and that it's black. But that's the little spinny bit. And if we compare the cylinders, you notice that the stock one is much more, I guess, flat overall, but it does look very, very nice. And on the back, we have the inlet holes, which are a bit different. This one has them on the bottom to coincide with the little foam ring, which I'll go over in just a second. But yeah, you get an extra shot with the kit. This part doesn't have the piece riveted in, and it just looks so much better in my opinion. The foam ring, which you get, is much stiffer than the little squishy foam ring you get in the Hammershot normally. Don't know how much of a difference it makes, but this is very squishy compared to this stiff foam. We kind of need this part, so I'm just gonna put that right there. The metal trigger is basically the exact same as the stock trigger in both the form and the aesthetics. The only real difference is this one's metal and it has the Orange ModWorks logo on it, but besides that, they are exactly the same. And now we get to the hammer. There's a few differences between the stock hammer and the modified one. If we put them at the same orientation, you'll notice that the top of this has a bit more scoop in the center than on the outer edge of it, and it has this little like hole area right there, but it's also textured the entire way, whereas the stock Hammershot one only has this texturing right in there. You can see that this one goes all the way down across the hammer, which is really nice, especially if you have like sweaty thumbs. This will give you a bit of a grip, which is always nice. The little webbings are a bit different too. I don't know if these are just for structural support or what, but there's not as many webbing bits on that one. Flip it over, and yeah, it's basically a better Hammershot hammer that's made of metal. That's basically it. So to start this off, I'm going to replace the stock hammer with the modified one, and that's as easy as knocking out these 2 pins right here and replacing the parts into their respective areas. It's very simple. Just knock these out, pull these pieces off, put them onto there, knock the pins in, and it should look like this. It doesn't take too long, very simple and pretty easy to do. All I used was a small screwdriver and a rubber mallet to whack out the pins and squeeze them back into place with some pliers. So very simple to do, not hard at all. Once you have the hammer done, I would say the next part to do is get it installed into this section, as well as getting the trigger put into place before you put the cylinder or the spring in. So I'm gonna do that really quickly. And this is what the Hammershot looks like when it's completely put together. No real notes to make about it. It's a very simple drop-in kit. Hammer, trigger, spring. I did the foam pad. That was probably the hardest part about this, was getting that foam pad off nice and cleanly. It took a little bit of time, but still pretty simple to do. Cleaned it off with rubbing alcohol and then put the new one on. Another quick note to make is that the little cylinder piece that pops off the cylinder, the Hammershot has this little rim piece that needs to go inside that cylinder. That's really the only note to make about that. Very simple kit, very easy to put together. So let's take this thing outside, shoot it off a bit, and put it through the chronograph to see how well it performs. My Hammershot kit performance is doing less than what Orange Modworks says it should be doing, according to a little chart that they have on their website, which shows them getting around the mid-80s with the 8kg spring, which I know I put in here, even though I'm getting what they got with a stock spring, which is kind of weird. Another issue that I ran into was my cylinder not rotating properly. Every now and then, it would just stop rotating, and there we go. So it's going to do it on this one. If I release this and then do that, it doesn't rotate. But if I move it just a little bit, it lines up. I don't know what it is, but it does that every so often. It's going to need a little bit of tweaking in order to work properly, which is kind of annoying. And now we move into the pros and cons of the kit and whether or not I think it's worth your money. And we're going to pretend as if the kit works flawlessly right now for this. So let's start with the pros. The first and biggest pro for this kit is that it looks excellent. The hammer and the trigger both look great, though I would say they need a bit of polishing to really bring them out. And the cylinder is the best looking cylinder that you can buy on the market, in my opinion. It really stands out from all the 3D printed cylinders you can buy, and it just looks really, really good. The second pro I have for this kit is the hammer just by itself. This hammer is super duper comfortable and very well designed. I love the ribbing in here. It feels very grippy. My thumb doesn't want to slip off, and I'm sure if my hand was super duper sweaty, my thumb would still have an excellent grip on the hammer. It just feels really good. It looks really good too. It doesn't like stand out very much, but it just works really well, and it is a great hammer overall. I love this hammer, and it's just a pro by itself. As for cons with the kit, I really can't think of any other than my kit being a little wonky and not working perfectly. It's a kit that upgrades your Hammershot and makes it perform better, gives you an extra barrel, and it just does what it says it's going to do. So there's really no cons to this kit. However, there is a neutral with it, and that comes in terms of price. The price for this kit is $45, not including shipping, which I was originally thinking that's a bit high for just a Hammershot kit. But when I broke it down and compared it to other combinations of things that give you the same kind of build, it's really comparable. For example, the blaster parts kit from Containment Crew, if you have the spring come with it, is around $20. And an out of darts 3D printed 7-barrel cylinder is $25, both of those before shipping. And that's $45 as well, but you get an extra barrel. So it's very comparable to other combinations of stuff. So really, it's a neutral because it's just equal with everything else, which I guess could also be kind of a pro, that it's on the same level of price as other things. But to me, it seems a bit expensive, but maybe that's because I'm used to buying things separately, which doesn't feel as much. So it's a neutral / pro that this is at $45. If you're interested in getting a kit for yourself, or maybe for someone else, there will be a link in the video description below. But for now, that was a review, look at, overview, shooting demonstration, unboxing, whatever you want to call it, of the Orange Modworks O-Tac Hammershot S1 kit, an upgraded version of their old Hammershot kit. And one really cool thing that they did was they added like a change log to the item description, which shows you what they changed and when they changed it, which I thought was pretty cool. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have a great day wherever you are.